Right, Jose. So you're the first images that I'm looking at here, and you can see how I'm setting this up. I'm just making a collection for you under $2.95, and I'll keep all of your images here. And part of what I want feedback from you from is when you're like, oh yeah, this image isn't working with my series anymore, and you want me to pull that out, that I pull it out. I want this to be like a real good back and forth between us as far as what images you're looking at in your portfolio, so I'm looking at the same images. All right, so looking at this work, something I notice about the first images is that a lot of the compositions are kind of static in the way that we would first perceive them, right? Like you have the horizon line in the center, you have your subject in the center, you have your subject in the center, you have your subject in the center. And we see this over and over again, this simplified view of these landscapes. And because of that simplified view, because you're approaching it in kind of a counterintuitive way, you're approaching it in a way that I would think beginner photographers would approach it and do it unsuccessfully, because beginner photographers are always centering their subjects. But your images are really, really interesting and really pulling me in because you've put the subject in the center, and then we move around and find the other elements of design in the images. So you're really successfully using this very simple composition in the first set of images here, in this image, and this image here, in this image. So there's something about the symmetry that's happening, something about centering your subject and this repetition of that that really works well. And then we can have some other images that are still simple, at least on face value, they're simple. I don't want you to think that I'm saying they're simple in a way that's demeaning to your images. I think they're beautiful images. I think they're like more complex than they come across, but I think at first glance they can be kind of simple. So here you can mix it up, but still keep us in this more straightforward approach. Now, in the two images you turned in this week, the first image that you turned in of just the trees seems to fall in line here. So this image, you have the trees in the center, and it's kind of more straightforward. I agree with whoever said to crop out the rocks at the bottom. That does add some complexity. And also, you're at f1.8, and the shallow depth of field down here gets a little bit confusing for my eye. Like, I kind of want everything to be in focus. And I know that's not true for all of your images. If we look here, the focus is in the foreground. Here you have the foreground kind of out of focus as well. So there is a little, here it's out of focus. That's the image I was actually looking for. But here it almost looks like, I know it's not movement because I can see your shutter speed, but it looks like it's almost movement here. And I find this to be a little bit distracting in the bottom right corner. So you could crop in a little bit if you wanted to. Yeah, just to kind of simplify this image. And then this image, I do not think works with your subjects because, or with your other images, because your subject is the geese as they're walking across. You don't really have any of that in any of your other images. And then the landscape is a little bit more complex, where there's I don't know, cinder blocks over here. There looks like a house back here. And those all start to fall out of focus. So you're changing our perspective here, and I don't think this image works. All right, so looking at all of these images together, I can see how this image could work, especially if as you're doing post-processing with them, and as you're ordering them, you have more images that are like this. But part of the beauty of all of your other images are the time of day that you're shooting them, right? Shooting them, I think, in the golden hour in the evening. They could be in the morning. Oh, I got them mixed up. This looks like this is in the morning and this is in the evening. So yeah, morning or evening, either way, but you're getting that golden hue through your images. So I would continue with that. I'm curious if you're using a neutral density filter for these. I think that would really ease your approach here as far as post-processing and whatnot goes. I'm curious how you are post-processing these images. But right now, I feel like those top 10 images are going to be a lot stronger. And then the first of the two images you brought in this week could work with that if you have other images that are shot midday. But there is something magical about them all having the golden hues that you're going to start to lose. And you're going to have to make that decision which way you want to go with that. One other thing I notice here is that most of your images of your 10 here are vertical images, and you just have 2 horizontal images. So as you go out, you might want to make effort to make some more horizontal images just so it fills out the portfolio. You don't want just a couple of horizontal images. I think that could be a little bit abrupt in your series. So making sure that you have maybe 5 by the end of this, I think would round it out. All right, nice job.